You ready?
Yep.
Let's get it.
Scotch, bourbon, and rye, yeah, we on that whiskey. Wanna discuss an array of topics, conversation simply. Gonna drop your whiskey bars with the sip hitting fold. Could you pass it? You want more? Another glass, let it flow. Steady pour. Steady pour. Yeah, a steady pour. A steady pour of growing, a steady pour of sharing, a steady pour of knowing. Now pass that Glen Carry. So pull up a chair, grab a glass, and enjoy a melanin-infused perspective with a whiskey twist. Yeah, a steady pour.
Yes, sir. Welcome to a Steady Pour podcast. I'm your Pour Cokes, Drew.
Calvin.
Tony, what's up?
Darius, what it do?
And we are your co-hosts. If you didn't know,
Now you know.
Now
To
you
Cal.
now you know.
What's up,
Oh,
man?
man. And we got a dope episode because we have a special guest.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
This is
sir.
the guest episode, fellas.
Let's do it.
It's guest episode. Y'all
Not
ready?
alone.
Who
Not
we got?
alone.
Y'all ready?
Who's up it?
All right, so we have a special guest joining us. He's well known in the world of spirits and media.
Ooh,
Okay, we have a VIP with us, fellas.
official.
You know what I mean? He's a
Official,
writer. He's a writer in publications in Fortune, Forbes, Vine Pair, Slate, Drink Hacker,
All of them.
Malt Review, all that.
Okay.
Okay,
I love it. I love it.
he is a producer with credits like Ferrari.
Whoa.
Okay?
Seriously? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
like
The movie?
The movie, yes.
Very
Yes.
interesting.
Sheesh.
You know what I mean? He's also a reviewer. He's also a Kentucky Colonel.
Wow.
How does one become
That's
That's a good question.
That's certainly a question. but before we go any further, we want to welcome to the show David Thomas-Tao. What up, homie?
Welcome.
It is so good to be here.
What's up, man?
What's up, brother?
I gotta be honest. We're recording. It's a Friday night, and the rest of the world, man, I don't give a crap about that.
We love that.
Yes.
We love that.
Hey,
It's just
here.
the people on this Zoom.
That's
Yes.
what we like to inspire.
That's
Yes.
it, buddy.
That's what it's all about, man. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. How you feeling?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, fellas. It is an honor to be here. You all are some of the most genuine people in the whiskey game right now, and it is when I got the call up, as they say.
Oh please. Oh
You know,
please.
I don't want to mess up my one at bat. We'll do what we can.
Pinch it. We appreciate you.
Bottom of the knife.
This is awesome.
Yes.
Appreciate you, brother.
Definitely. And, you know, we ran into you a couple of times at a number of events in New York City. And I was like, oh, man, I remember when I first saw you, I was like, I know this guy from somewhere. And at first, I couldn't place it. I'm like, oh, he's been all over the social media doing the whiskey reviews and the tastings and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, snap. And sure enough, you know, you definitely very, you know, approachable, cool, telling us very knowledgeable about everything that we were asking in terms of whiskey. You also joked with us about us when we told you that we were from Jersey. You were like, all right, is there a Central Jersey or not?
The
Everybody
people
has
need to
that.
know, okay?
North and South.
Now, at this point, there is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess.
you know, I still believe Central Jersey was created because they just didn't want to be considered South Jersey.
I mean, facts.
It's true.
I mean,
They had to delineate
however
themselves.
it was created, it still exists.
Right.
It's one of those conspiracy theories where you're like, you know what? That might be right.
There's just enough there.
Respect.
So, I mean, can you just let our listeners know, sort of, and us knows as well, how did you get into whiskey? Now, we said that you were Kentucky Colonel, so that I believe that means you have to be from Kentucky. So you were born, are you from Kentucky originally?
Yeah. So I will say, just like bourbon doesn't have to be made in Kentucky, Kentucky Colonels don't have to be from Kentucky. We're just gonna do a little myth busting. Right?
Okay.
It's like someone saying, you know, bourbon doesn't have to be made in Kentucky, but I only drink Heaven Hill. You know what I mean? Like it's right. But I was born and raised in Kentucky. I was born in Louisville. Moved around a little bit, but basically grew up in Bardstown. So settled back there when I was like
Bardstown. Interesting.
4 or 5 maybe, and just grew up in Bardstown from then on out.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, we've been out to Bardstown a couple times.
We have.
A few, time or two.
Let me tell you, if you had gone back 20 years and you asked me if people would want to go to Bardstown these days, or people who weren't from Kentucky would know about Bardstown, I would have called you crazy. Because bourbon was not like, you go back to the 90s, the early 2000s, bourbon was not what it was today.
Right.
And it is still remarkable to me that I get paid to go to Bardstown for work.
Wow.
It blows my mind. Absolutely.
Oh, how times have changed.
Oh my.
So were you always into whiskey since you were born in Bardstown? Or was that always a thing? Like, is it a rite of passage from Bardstown when you have to?
Yeah, they put you on your first tasting panel when you're a freshman. No. but I'm like joking, but I'm not really joking, right? Like I mean, whiskey is, if you've been to Bardstown, whiskey is the game, right? Like whiskey is the driving force of the industry. It's always been like that since I've been conscious. You know what I mean? And while whiskey, like my family wasn't in whiskey, right? Like my mom worked at the hospital, but the playground of my elementary school was right across the street, basically, from Barton 1792. We could smell the sour mash after lunch. Like, I'm not kidding.
That's insane.
You know, and today I look at my elementary school and middle school classmates, and it's like, oh, you know, Freddie grew up to be master distiller of Jim Beam, right?
Wow.
Nick Smith grows up to be, you know, head distiller of Bardstown Bourbon Company. So you do, it's just part of the culture. You know, you grew up around it. It's small town America. It's the main industry. Everyone kind of knows each other. So I was very aware of bourbon, and it just kind of gets in your blood as far as what you know about it. And then it was really probably around like 2014, 2015, a lot of people started asking me about Kentucky because they knew I was living in New York. People were asking me from Kentucky. I'm like, why do you want to know about Kentucky? Like, what do you like? You know, what's happening? And then I realized bourbon had become this massive thing, and it's only grown from there. It might have been even earlier than that. It might have been like 2011, you know, something like that. But so I've always had an interest, but honestly, the ability to write about this stuff professionally didn't really come until about probably like 5 years ago. I might be guesstimating.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm kind of bad with dates when it comes to like around the
okay.
pre and post pandemic.
Yeah.
So let's call
good.
it 5 years. And I feel really grateful. I have a writing background. I've been a journalist I've been a business journalist. I've been a journalist and a content creator in the fitness industry.
Okay.
And so I kind of had some of those skills, and then, and frankly, a lot of people just gave me the chance and asked if I wanted to write about whiskey, right? Because it's something I was talking about, drinking, hanging out with people, spending all my free time obsessing over. And so, you know, I'm very lucky that a few people gave me the opportunity to start writing about it, and it kind of has, you know, snowballed slowly but steadily from there. And you know, I think I have one of the best jobs in the world.
Nice.
That's what's up.
Do you remember your first whiskey that made you fall in love with it?
Oh man,
That's probably a
So-
tough one.
but the first taste of whiskey that I like remember, it wasn't even really whiskey. I remember tasting the sour mash at Maker's Mark.
Okay.
Right, like when you were a kid, they used to those open air fermenters. You know what I mean? They used to let you like, they'd lift you up, and you could like dip your grubby little paws in there, pull out some of that fermenting mash, and taste it. And like the joke is like it's supposed to taste really bad, but I remember as a little kid, I really liked cornbread. I was a robust child, and I remember thinking to myself, I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Like this is what becomes whiskey. And I just remember that so distinctly because back in the day, like Maker's Mark was not what it was now. There was not the tourist center. There was not the like, you know, 200 slot parking lot. It was not like if you wanted to dip your own bottle, you could, but they had one container of wax on a back porch of a house.
Wow.
And you have to wait 45 minutes for it to heat up.
Wow.
So like it was a very different time.
Oh, man.
Very, very, very different
Times have
time.
changed.
But I think I think the thing that made me kind of come back to whiskey as an adult and really have an appreciation for it was I was out in New York. I mean, I just graduated from college. I was out with a friend, and we were talking about cocktails, and he was really into old fashions, and he was like, he was like, man, I don't think the whiskey in an old fashioned makes a difference. Right? He's like, I think you can put two different bourbons in old fashioned, they probably taste the same. And I got really pissed.
Took offense.
Blasphemy.
Oh no, wait.
I was like, you're wrong, buddy, you're wrong. So we had the bartender make two different old fashions. One with whatever I don't want to throw any brand under the bus, but it was like a well whiskey, and one with just Knob Creek 9-year bourbon, right?
Okay.
Pretty good bourbon. And we blinded my buddy on them, and like of course, one was better.
Yeah.
And I saw his I thought his mind was blown, and I remember thinking to myself like, wait a minute, like. I gotta get back to whiskey. Like this is kind of like getting back to
What am I doing?
You know what I mean? Like what am I doing? Spending $25 on a cocktail on a first date that I'm not going to enjoy anyway.
Oh no!
Like I gotta get back to whiskey.
Back to your roots.
Bardstown's roots.
That's awesome.
No, that's dope. That's dope.
Well, before we go any further, I guess should we get into what we're tasting?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. What we have on the menu tonight?
Yeah, Tone, what do we have?
So this is the newest release from Michter's, which is a version of their Bombergers, but it's actually a Bomberger's precision fine grain finish.
Okay.
Wow.
So
What makes it precision fine grain?
I mean, in the small amount of research I've been able to do on this, it's like some specific specialty barrels, basically.
I know with
that they're
Michter,
finishing
sometimes they keep that stuff a little close to the vest.
100%, yeah.
We don't want you
It's
to
some
know.
specialty barrels, basically, that they're doing a secondary finish in.
Okay, all right.
Off of their original Bomberger's recipes. So, do you have any more insight on that, David, than that?
Oh yeah, I'll
Okay.
read the back of the bottle.
Oh, great.
I already wrote
Yeah, it's like,
We don't have the actual bottle, so we have a sample from OJ Lima.
I got
So.
OJ didn't handwrite the notes on the
No,
bottle.
he didn't.
He did
I'm
not.
gonna call him out for that.
So my review, as of this recording, my review's been written and submitted. I don't think it's been published yet.
Okay.
But I'm just reading verbatim. This bourbon is finished in a custom proprietary barrel, resulting from a thoughtful collaboration between Michter's Master of Maturation and the skilled coopers selected for this project. Bomberger's PFG owes much of its flavorful character to the exacting specifications established for the barrels it is finished in. They are constructed of fine grain oak, which has been seasoned outdoors for a minimum of 40 months. These barrels are toasted at a defined temperature range for a precise period of time before they are charred to our specifications. Upon full maturation, the result is an elegant, rich, and complex bourbon. So I will say Michter's will when they say they're not going to when they say something's proprietary, they're not going to tell you all the details.
Right.
No.
That's just and these are French oak barrels.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All
For the
right.
secondary.
All right.
All right. Nice.
Huh.
Well, I mean, you're also in you're a judge for a number of, whiskey review places. So what type of glass is that, actually?
Oh, this is my new favorite. So when I'm to be clear, when I'm reviewing something
So
for like a written
fancy.
review,
Uh-huh.
I will always use a Glencairn. It's always standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Because the glass makes a difference, right?
It
We've all
does.
been in this to know you can. So it's always a Glencairn. But if I'm just drinking for fun with friends like you all, I like to break out the really pretentious stuff.
You know what?
Respect.
Yeah,
I like
Nice.
I feel like
So-
I need to switch my glass up.
Look at the stem. Look at the stem.
I'm gonna butcher the name on this. I'm not good at pronouncing. I'm from Kentucky. I'm not good at pronouncing things.
Say it how you want to say it, brother. It's all good.
This is the Josephine Hut number 10. I think I called it the Josephinette, and someone was like, "That's not right."
Comes from the throat.
But it's this long stem looking
Wow.
like tulip
I
bulb
mean,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. I think you're
elegant.
making Cal bring out the blenders.
Yeah, he's looking for
he
the
had to say,
blenders.
I gotta replace my glass, man. I gotta match your energy.
Nah, son,
Listen.
you ain't going.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna show me up on the glass.
Hey, that stem kind of light though. That stem, I don't know, babe.
I love the blender's glass,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I have
they're
a
nice.
couple of them. But then I saw, but this is like the next iteration. This
Yeah.
is like the new.
He is showing you up, Cal.
Nah,
You got 2.0.
So you tried it, but you can't match my
I
level
gotta
right
bring
now.
Miss Fat Booty out. Let's go.
It's like you got the Supreme hat, I got the Supreme hoodie. No, I'm kidding.
Whatever.
He's not kidding though. He's being serious.
He's so serious.
But what I do like about the blender's glass and this one is so when I reviewed this with the Glencairn I really enjoyed it. Spoiler, but having a little bit of a different shape and even more of a pronounced like tulip or bulb, I think on this I can really pick up more of like that French oak influence. I call it a spicy wood.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's tough to like explain the difference in words sometimes between the impact on the nose for like from American oak and a European oak, maybe like French oak. And what I think I'm able to really pick up on the nose with this is I'm getting both. I'm getting some of that robust sweetness from the new American oak barrels, right? Some of those classic bourbon notes.
Okay.
But I'm getting this like additional layer of just like woody, kind of like a little bit like a spiced pine cone layer on top of that on the nose. But sorry, I got way ahead of myself. I'm sorry, guys. We're still talking about what's in this whiskey. My bad.
No, you're good.
No,
That's,
we're good.
that's great.
Speak your beef, brother.
I'm getting like it's a delicacy.
Yeah, I always get that with French oak.
Yeah, no,
I
this
feel
smells
like
very
yeah.
delicate. I want to hold this with care.
But there is kind of a woody note. I do get what you're talking about. It kind of just like it's kind of that underlying layer on some of the other sweetness and some of the spices you get on like a regular Bombergers. It's just got another intricacy note on it. It's nice.
This noses what I wish an Ambarana finish would nose like.
Ooh.
Okay.
And very interesting.
Okay.
I think I can.
You know,
I can see that.
The only thing that is missing Ambarana wise is that birch beer.
Cinnamon.
Yeah, that cinnamon.
It doesn't have that.
Yeah, because I was going
Does
to
not have that at all.
But see, I don't like too much of that though. That's just me. Like that's a very
I'm with
subjective
you.
thing.
I enjoy that aspect of it. So I was
Right.
Like, I was like,
Right.
Ambarana. I was like, wait, I don't get any cinnamon. Or
Right.
No. For me, this is like that woody spiciness, but without that like
The
cinnamon
cinnamon.
chewing gum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So you don't.
like you said, birch beer.
Big
I'm
red.
gonna steal that.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't
Let's
enjoy
go in
it.
an article. Birch beer. I love that.
So you just don't like Ambarana, pretty much.
Right. That's what I'm hearing.
That's what it sounds like. I mean, no respect.
But it's just like every time you talk to someone, they're like, "Ooh, this is what I think the Ambarana is going to do," and then it just does way more.
Too
than
much
that.
more.
Yeah, it does. It does a
That's
lot.
kinda what I mean.
There's different iterations that we have.
Yeah.
Like
There's-
there's some that is doing too
there's
much.
some people
of the
who do it
Ambarana,
right.
and there's
Yeah,
levels
yeah.
where it's just like it's a nice little overlayer of Ambarana.
But I
It's
do
not
agree
killing
that
it.
Ambarana in general just kind of does a lot.
It does.
Does a lot.
But some does more than
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, nah.
There are a couple blends. I'm gonna give a shout out to Westward because their second milestone release
Oh, so good.
it was great.
Yeah.
And it had just a little bit of Ambarana in it, and you have to like look for it. You know what I mean? It didn't like punch you in the face. Like,
Yeah.
this is it. This is like how you use this.
Western's really
A
good.
dabble do you?
Yeah.
Man, I'm trying to like, compare it to something used in cooking, right? But like it's like I don't know. It's like truffle oil. It can take over everything if you're not careful.
Yeah. True,
right.
true,
Truffle
true.
fries. Oh yeah. Either like it or you hate it.
Fellas, y'all gonna have to taste this. I went ahead. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you tasted it
Yeah, I'm
already?
sorry. I went ahead.
Oh, you are.
couldn't
It's not a traditional review, anyways. We're
I
just
couldn't
enjoying
wait. Just go for it, because this.
Ooh.
it. Yeah. That's really
So
good.
I already sat down and spent a lot of time with this and reviewed this. I'm curious what you all are getting because, like, I'm always, as a reviewer, I always get a little, every time I submit a review, I get a little nervous because I think, what if I'm just wrong? I mean, taste is subjective,
Right.
Yeah, your taste is your taste.
right? But like, you kind of have to stick to your guns. But occasionally, I'll submit something. I mean, really, a lot of time I'll submit something and be like, I hope this makes sense to people. I hope I'm not taking crazy pills. So I'm very curious what you all think of this one.
I'm enjoying the embrace on the palate, just the viscosity, the feel of it, and so like the flavors that come out to me immediately is like I'm actually getting that cinnamon.
I was going to say that.
It's gonna be. It was like a cinnamon covered raisin is what I'm getting.
Okay.
And it's the finish is nice. It's like it's I want to say it's medium, not quite. I want to say long, but it's like a medium-ish long. If you will.
No, it's nice. It lingers. It lingers for sure.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah, it's really good.
What's it? This is crushable. This is crushable.
Oh yeah.
What was the proof on this?
It's 100.2.
Okay. Yeah. This.
100.2 only?
Oh my goodness.
It's got a lot of flavor for that.
I did not believe that. That's.
Yeah, Michter's seems to kind of hover around that range, like their 10-year bourbons, their 10-year rye, everything's in that, and a lot of flavor for the proofs on those. So yeah,
well, Michter's even their barrel strength is going to be a little lower than what people might expect because their barrel entry
they go in low,
right?
Yeah.
103, it's like
right.
Even there's not like even if it gains proof, it's still going to be
but so much,
right?
Yeah. No, this is really good to me. I'm a Bomberger's fan anyways, but I feel like something about that precision fine grain, the French oak kind of influence. I'm getting kind of a maybe like a wine finish, that kind of like a red wine kind of like influence on it. And you would think that might like overpower it or something like that, but it just kind of like it works with it really well. It kind of rounds it out, and it's just a really delicious pour. It's really nice.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I didn't get any Amberana what you were saying on the nose, but when the taste come through, I see that cinnamon. I see what you're saying. Like, this is what you want an Amberana kind of taste like, where it's not like killing you. It's like with that cinnamon birch beer flavor, but it's just like a nice subtleness to it, where it's just like a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of flavor, and then it just all smooths out. It's really nice. It's really nice layers to it. I'm liking it a lot.
I was gonna say the same thing when he said Amberana. I was like,
yeah, right.
I don't get that, but I started tasting it and I was like, am I wanting to taste the cinnamon? Am I wanting to taste that part of it? Not heavy on the birch, but definitely getting that cinnamon back into it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It's a very delicate version of Amberana, and Amberana is no way delicate
at all.
I get a little. I mean, I get a good bit of fruit on it too.
Yeah.
I get some real cherry, and it builds on the finish. Like every sip I have, that finish gets a little heavier from like cherry syrup.
I get almost a raisiny syrup, like he's saying that cinnamon raisiny.
Yeah.
I get a lot of because it's not grape. It definitely has a heavy raisin, that dried out fruit kind of a feel.
That's why I said
it.
the wine. It kind of
It feels like the flavor belongs with a higher proof, and it's like they filtered out the heat somehow. Like
we said 102. I was like, no way, this is 102.
No, not even 102. 100.2.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh wow, even worse.
Yeah.
It's almost bottled in.
I don't know. Like I get the flavor of a higher proof, but I'm also getting a sting of a higher proof.
There's a little bit of heat there.
I feel like it tastes higher, like 107, one not quite 110, but like sub 110, but higher than 100.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, we did have some pretty high proofs prior to
this.
We did.
Yeah.
Stepping down a little bit.
Yeah, now that I think about that, but the flavor is all
we're all
there.
drinking some like hazmat light whiskey before
not
this.
quite.
There was a light whiskey blend.
The highest is 125, but they were all hot.
Yeah.
They were all coming. They were coming in hot. They were coming with some heat, brother.
I really liked. Listen, guys, my review hasn't even published yet, but I'll say right now, I really like this whiskey. I thought it was. What I will say, what I liked about it is, like, I'm a big Bomberger's fan as well, right? I love Shanks too. I love the Michter's Legacy series, which prior was just Bomberger's, and Shanks. Now it's also the two versions of Bombergers, I guess, and Shanks as well. So they're three whiskeys. This was different, right? This didn't taste to me just like a souped up Bombergers. It tasted like they actually took the flavor in a couple different directions. And I really like that because I think a lot of brands, it's very easy, and there's nothing wrong with this, to just be like, cool, we'll release an expression at a higher proof, or we'll do like a toasted barrel finish. Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
This to me tasted like something else entirely.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. It built on those flavors, but it went a different direction with those, and I thought it was a lot of fun.
Do you know if this is going to be a yearly release, like along with the Bombers and Shanks, they're going to do the PFG as well?
It's supposed to be.
Okay.
But I will say something about Michter's, and as someone who reviews whiskey for a living, and I try and like build out my calendar for the year. Michter's occasionally they'll throw a curveball and they'll be like, nope, it wasn't ready, or it wasn't up to our stand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
They're very clear that even if something's intended for an annual release, if it doesn't pass muster,
They'll hold it back.
They'll hold it back, and we've seen them do that with a lot of the age-stated stuff.
Yeah.
We've seen them do it, with the 10-year. We've seen them do it like the 10-year doesn't come out every year for both bourbon and rye. The 20-year doesn't come out every year for bourbon.
Right.
So
Gotcha. Okay.
So
And I'm not mad at them for it.
No, yeah, they have a standard
Right.
for sure.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
So as a whiskey reviewer, as a whiskey writer, right? I'm sure you understand that you like to add your own voice to what's happening out there in the industry.
Yeah.
So when you're doing your writing, when you're doing your reviewing, what is it that you try to add or to convey out there in the whiskey space?
Thank you for asking that. I think I'm only now trying to figure out like what am I adding to the space, because I think for a long time as a reviewer, I wasn't doing it as much. Now I'm reviewing and writing articles. I'm writing probably between 5 and 10 articles a week.
Wow.
Right.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's fun. Like I love that. But even a couple of years ago, I might have been doing one article a week, maybe if that. And so now I feel like I can figure out what kind of voice I want to add, and I'm doing, even actually probably fewer reviews and more features, interviews, things like that. And I don't know. It's a kind of an existential question I'm grappling with. Like, like
Who are you?
Like, you can invoice me for therapy after this. I think I look at folks like you all, and you all add such positivity to the space and such accessibility to the space. Right, you're meeting people where they are, not where you think they should be.
Right.
And I think as a reviewer, it gets really tough because, and I was actually really happy. I got a lot of people. I released a video on social. I'm not like an influencer. I don't have a huge following, but I love it. Right. I love talking to people via social media. And I released a video, late last year. That was like my top 5 bourbons for 2024. Right.
Yep.
And like there were a lot of bottles on there that most people will never try. Right. That's just the way it is. And I believe in my list. Like those were my top 5 favorite bourbons of the year.
Right.
But like,
Sometimes that's the nature of the beast.
That's the nature of the beast. And some people like called me out on that. And it's like I stood by my list, but at the same time I'm like, well, what do I want to push out there? Right. Do I want to just be someone who's posting like, here's a bottle you might never try, sure is good. Like,
Right.
Like I think it would be easy for me to be that guy. I kind of maybe already was that guy. And so I'm trying to figure out how to do more content that's not just reviewing like the most expensive, hardest to get bottle, but like, can I bring a human element to it, right? Can I profile someone? Can I go to a place and like really get my hands dirty and convey that experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just for the highest end stuff, right? For, for a lot of different things. So I'm really trying to focus on that in 2025 and just kind of get back to writing whiskey content that anyone can enjoy and get something out of, and not just like FOMO bait. Because there's going to be some of that. I'm still going to review all the stuff that's hard to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
But like, that's not why I'm in it. So can I add in other stuff that people will just enjoy reading?
I can already tell right now that we're going to have you back again at least at the end of this year, just because I'm curious to see where that journey is taking you.
Yeah, that would be pretty dope.
That would be cool.
It's a fun journey. It's a fun journey. Like I hope to get like vulnerable and existential with it, and people will be like, "Man, stop crying into the camera." But
Right, it's okay, bro.
it's
Okay, you can get
It's not that bad. We're drinking whiskey.
It's
Yeah, right.
100%,
It's a
bro.
safe
Emotional is it's okay. Show your emotion, bro.
But yeah,
We're
no,
all friends.
I think bourbon is like, especially American whiskey, it's the drink of the people, right? Like the you can enjoy the bourbon in your glass if you're just like sitting on your back porch after work is just as good as someone who's in like a 5-star hotel in the French Alps. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this is the drink for the people, and I think that brands are getting back to that, and I think that creators are getting back to that. I think that we are like the writing community can get back to that as well.
Well, David, I actually want to, just so that our audience gets to know you more, because just as much as you're active in terms of writing articles, you said about 5 articles a week, you're also pretty active on the socials, particularly also on Twitter, or what's it called now?
X.
I still like to call it
X
Twitter.
Twitter.
I still like to call it
It's
Twitter.
Twitter.
I still
Elon
call
took
it
over.
So I actually wanted to do a quick segment with you. I want to call it Thomas-Tao's Twitter Takes.
Thomas-Tao Twitter takes.
In the you know, a lot of these questions that I'm about to ask you are influenced by what I saw on your as Twitter takes. So the first one is this is actually more so us. Scotch, bourbon, or rye.
I'm bourbon. I'm a bourbon guy through and through.
Respect.
That's like the desert island pour. However, the thing I drink professionally more than anything else is single malts now.
Okay.
So that's
right.
Scotch. That could be Irish single malts, American single malts, Japanese.
Right.
So like that's kind of what pays the bills, man.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right.
Well, now I'm going to ask you this question: whiskey with a Y or EY, or whiskey with just a Y?
I like it with the EY, right?
Okay.
Like I think the Irish have it right.
It's the world market. All right.
What's a bourbon that's not released nationwide that needs to be?
Oh man, well, it's changing now. The one I would always, I was gonna say a rye. Okay, I'll say a bourbon. Yeah,
What's the rye?
Evan Williams 12, the 101.
So good.
Yes, it is.
Hold on. Wait.
Yeah.
What was the rye you were going to say? I'm curious.
Yeah, he's the
I
right
was gonna say
guy.
rye. He said bourbon, but I was like, but it's because it's one that I feel like I manifested, but clearly they were playing it for a while. It's Elijah Craig barrel proof rye,
Ooh.
Okay.
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 and the
All
TTB
right.
filing just leaked.
Oh.
So
Okay.
didn't leak; it was posted. It's public. It's on a public database.
Okay.
It's totally fine.
Very intrigued.
But
Okay.
Elijah Craig barrel proof rye, because I really like Heaven Hill's rye profile.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we don't get to try it at barrel. We rarely get to try it at barrel proof outside of like Parker's Heritage release.
Right. Right.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Okay.
That Parker's Heritage is
Delicious.
fantastic.
Delicious.
Right.
Okay.
Industry bottle share or non-industry bottle share?
Non-industry bottle share.
Okay.
1,000%.
I agree.
1,000%.
I agree.
Respect.
Whiskey Oscars or whiskey around the horn?
I want, but I think whiskey around
Both.
the horn.
You tricked him.
I want both.
All right.
I'm gonna say whiskey around the horn because you could watch it every weekday,
Right.
right? Because the Oscars only come once a year.
Right.
That's
Good answer. Good answer. Good
That's just
answer.
the volume for
Good
today.
answer.
Right.
Good
We need
answer.
that every week.
I love
There's
it.
definitely room for both.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I love it.
And who's a better whiskey writer, you or Frank?
Oh, Frank's a much better writer. That's not even a question.
For the PC answer.
That's not a PC answer. That's just correct. Frank is.
He is a great writer.
Stay
Frank is a
humble.
really. I will say Frank is a really great writer, and what I love about Frank is we actually don't always see eye to eye on how we like are ranking whiskeys or rating whiskeys. We have different palates, which I love.
That's
Right.
good. Yeah.
So I say I learn a lot from Frank. My hope is he occasionally learn something. I'm not convinced that's the case, but
I'm sure it is.
I would think
I
he
love reading
would.
what Frank writes.
Yeah.
Right.
Love it.
Just from this conversation, I'm pretty sure he does.
I'm sure he does. He may not admit it, but I'm sure he does.
Frank is good people, and I will say, you talk about someone who brings positivity to the space,
Yep.
right? That makes people want to be in the whiskey community, specifically the bourbon community. Frank's like, he's doing just about better than anyone else. I can't imagine anyone doing it better than him as far as just making people want to be a part of this community. Oh man.
Shout out to Mr. Uprocks. Mr. Uproxington. Shout out to Frank, Jersey's own.
Yes,
Yes.
Dude, Central Jersey's own.
Oh, wow.
Wow, he is not in Central Jersey.
Get him out the meeting.
Yeah, you gotta go
Cut
now.
his
Yeah.
feed, cut his mic, cut his video.
He's out of here. He said, I'm having too much fun. I gotta keep going. Keep going with the
He was
Twitter
trying to
takes.
get you out of here. It's like,
We should have warned you how fun we are.
Can you talk a little bit about because I know you talked about your background and kind of like how you delved back into the spirits, but can you talk about how producing films and Broadway, like I don't even know how that came onto your plate and how that was something you thought to do.
I produced off Broadway.
Okay.
plays,
Respect.
Like way back when.
Okay.
We're talking, well over a decade ago. And I loved it. I don't want to say I was very good at it, but I loved it, right? And I think and I was a theater kid in college too. And I think, I kept up with a lot of those people as I got out of that game. Because guess what? If you're producing like tiny little theater off Broadway, you're not really making much money.
Right.
So I had to go do.
It's about the love of the craft.
Right. And when I kind of had a career change, and a few fortunate, nice fortunate things fall my way business wise, I had some time on my hands, and I reconnected with some of those people. And reconnected with some folks I knew who were in the film industry, and some opportunities to start producing came up. And at first, I still feel like I'm kind of bumbling my way through it sometimes, right? I mean, at first, Ferrari was a really great example of I kind of knew the right people and was in the right place at the right time, and I was able to contribute something. Not necessarily what I thought they needed, but it's what they wanted. I was able to get involved with some great teams, especially in post-production, and boom, ended up producing the movie, being a producer on the movie. It was an awesome experience. Theater, I started as a theater investor, actually, and then realized I wanted to get more heavily involved. I wanted to be at rehearsals. I wanted to start helping build the teams. It's like production's like a startup company.
Right.
And I like building companies and teams, and so it evolved from there. So still, I'll co-produce, which is kind of a fancy term of saying raising some of the financing and maybe doing some other odds and ends for a variety of shows, especially on Broadway, but have also started lead producing some off-Broadway shows, which is a ton of fun. So I don't want to say too much right now, but we'll definitely have some stuff people can see later this year in the city, maybe abroad.
Interesting. Okay.
Nice.
Well. And then co-producing some stuff on Broadway right now, which I was very lucky to be involved with. Oh Mary is a play.
I've heard
the
about
business
that.
partner and I co-produced. Love the team. That's been a heck of a lot of fun. And then Good Night and Good Luck, which is actually George Clooney's Broadway debut. We start performances next week. So
Wow.
excited to be like a tiny little part of that. Not steering the ship, but like maybe a passenger on board is a better way to describe that.
All right.
All right. Break a leg on that one.
What's up?
That's awesome.
Do you see yourself blending that
Blending.
blending that with the whiskey content in some way, in some shape or form?
I would love to. It's a little. I will say it's a little tough. I think. To be perfectly honest, brands right now are pretty tight with the purse strings in getting involved with. Like, I've had some conversations getting. Does a brand in the spirit space want to get involved with theater, film, things like that? Have had some good conversations. And by the way, it's not unprecedented. Like, people have done that before.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm keeping those conversations going, and what I'm realizing now is I think there are clever and creative ways to do that. And it's not just like the flashiest, biggest thing in the world, right? It's not buying a Super Bowl ad.
Right.
It's finding more synergies. So hoping to do that. I also recently joined the board of the Louisville Orchestra, and we are definitely interested in doing more collaboration between that as a really great nonprofit arts entity, and also some of the amazing spirits brands in and around Louisville, and doing more cross collaboration there. So hopefully we'll be able to help facilitate some more of that in the coming year.
Man, you sound so cultured, so well-rounded.
Not just a whiskey guy.
Man,
Come on.
he's doing it all.
I'll tell you that straight, like, I'm not very cultured. I do drink whiskey though.
He's so modest.
I have a fancy glass. It doesn't make me cultured, but my mom is she loves classical music. She's a patron of the arts, and when growing up in Kentucky, she loved taking me to Actors Theater in Louisville. We drive out from Bardstown. We'd go to the Louisville Orchestra, things like that. And I was on the phone with her one day, and she was asking what was up, and I was like, "Oh, Mom, I might actually join the board of the Louisville Orchestra." And she paused, and she just goes, "Why do they want to work with you?"
As moms
give it to you just real raw, authentic.
I was like, oh man, that cut deep. I was like, I'm still recovering from that.
Love you, Mom.
That's only moms can do.
Thanks.
Man, you put me in my place.
Right.
Wow.
That's funny.
Why my son? I don't understand.
Well, yeah, Tone's son's a maestro, right?
I don't know if he's a maestro.
He's
He's a classical pianist, he's doing his thing. He might go to school for music,
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm proud of him.
Modest.
He's doing good.
Modest.
Yeah.
Right.
Visiting Louisville, bring your family, send them to the orchestra, and then take your kids to the orchestra, and they'll love you. And then that way, when you go to the distillery the next day, they're not mad at you, right? Because you showed them culture.
I like that.
Yeah.
You're always looking for things to do, family. So
I'm definitely gonna create this like family, Kentucky Bourbon Trail, like vacation for dads that are trying to mix it into a family trip.
Right. Well, Starlight's on the list.
Starlight is definitely
Starlight is kind of you can do everything out there. So
Yeah, apple picking,
all
pumpkin
that.
patches, hit all that.
the homemade
up.
ice cream, they got
And
they got
get drunk
everything
while
out
you're
there.
doing it.
And listen, they serve whiskey they serve bourbon at the orchestra.
Okay.
Drew, that's add it to the list, Drew.
All right.
Could put that on the list.
You should have led with that.
You can get your drink and get some culture.
Wow. I'm in.
Nice.
That's nice.
Yeah. So, you kind of went into it a little bit, but do you have any long-term goals, I guess, around, you talked about the whiskey space already, but do you have any long-term goals that I guess that you didn't mention that you wanted to share?
I appreciate you asking that. I would like to find a way to, you kind of hit the nail on the head with your earlier question. I would love to find a way to combine my love of spirits and stuff I'm doing in entertainment.
Yeah.
I think that whiskey is just I think whiskey, spirits in general, but let's just say whiskey. That's what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah.
That's what we love. I think whiskey is such a great way to connect people, and it fosters so much understanding, and it fosters so much great conversation. I think that's what art should do as well, in many ways. I think there's a lot in common. And guess what? They're both subjective, right? Right? Just because I like something doesn't mean you're gonna like something, or that you should. You know what I mean? Same with whiskey. Same with like live theater as an example. So I would love to find a way to meld those two worlds a little bit more, or find some ways to. I think it's going to be like really hard to figure that out until it becomes like suddenly very obvious. It's kind of the it's going to be one of those things where it's just like it kind of happens more than you plan for it, maybe. But that'd be a goal of mine. And then frankly, like I'm one of the luckiest people in the world. Like I get paid to drink whiskey, to travel around, to talk about whiskey. I'd love to do more media stuff. Like honestly, I have so much fun doing this stuff, and I know that it's not really possible to be a professional bourbon podcast guest right now. But as that economy develops,
All right.
right,
We're working on it for you.
Y'all are laying the groundwork. Y'all are walking so I can run.
There you go. I would just say I appreciate also you bringing something that you bring to the conversation that I think a lot of people don't is kind of the health aspect. And something that we've started doing is, and I know people talk about it some, is the like dry January and just like encouraging taking a break and that it's okay to kind of just step away for a bit and kind of, I guess reset the palate, reset your body in general. Right. And it's just something that I feel like, it's kind of like a mantra of like, oh, dry January, but then it kind of gets made fun of a little bit. And, you kind of get the people saying, oh, I won't do that. And I just appreciate that you kind of take that seriously and as a spirits writer kind of encourage that. So.
No, I mean, I'll just say I give you a lot of credit for being a vocal proponent of that in the community. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that you have a great way of phrasing it. I think maybe it was on X or Twitter or whatever it was. I'm definitely gonna like butcher something you posted, or just a vibe that you kind of expounded, which is stepping away from drinking and taking a break from drinking doesn't necessarily mean you have to leave the community.
No. Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? And I think it's like I actually. I didn't even think of anything of it at the time, but I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. I went to Whiskey Fest in New York, in Midtown, right? Mm-hmm. That's a big old to do. But I had to get blood work done the next day, right? And I couldn't drink that. Could not drink that night.
Yeah.
And I remember I was actually there with Frank Dobbins. We were hanging out. Mm-hmm. And, I told Frank, I was like, hey, man, I'm just not going to be drinking. And people were totally cool with it. Like, nice. Frank was obviously totally cool with it. People were offering me stuff. I'd see people I knew in the industry, and they're like, oh, you want to try this? And they're like, hey.
Not tonight.
I actually have to take the night off. Mm-hmm. And everyone was very, very cool with it.
Nice.
And I think that I'm not saying go to a bunch of whiskey events when you're not drinking. Like, right. Like, that's going to be, that's like not the most fun thing in the world.
Right.
But I think if you're taking a step back, whether it's dry January, whether it's doing, 75 hard, whether it's doing Whole 30, right? It doesn't mean that you're not part of the community. Right. And I think that a way to stay engaged is to be like, hey, folks, I'm actually doing this intentionally. I'd love to share my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And I see more and more people doing that.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome.
Wow, that takes a lot of discipline to go to a whiskey fest. And
I know that's right.
That is a challenge unlocked or something. Like
I will mess up at least 3 times. At least.
My bad.
Right.
It was like if I just didn't, the little mini Glens they hand you when you go into those. I didn't even pick one up.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the best way to go.
I was like, if I have to drink something, I'm gonna have to like cut my hands. So I'm not even gonna. The temptation wasn't there.
Nice.
Yes.
I like that. That's good, man.
That's dope.
Oh man, remember when we talked about doing badges or something like that? That's definitely a badge.
I can see that. I can see that.
That's definitely.
You drink so much, you need a break.
Well,
that's definitely a badge.
That's definitely a part of
the journey.
Going to a whiskey fest.
Going to a whiskey fest and not drinking any. That's
insane.
I feel like that's a punishment if you lose your fantasy football league.
Ooh,
that is a great punishment.
I like that.
Yeah.
Some people are like, I've heard people like they have to go retake the SATs.
Yeah.
Like
that's rough.
There's stuff like funny punishments. I feel like that could be one with your bourbon buddies. It's like
definitely 100%.
Absolutely, major FOMO.
Go watch us have fun.
All right,
while you stay
designated driver.
Right.
You got to come to the first bottle share after the season, and
you can't drink
this Malort.
Yeah, Malort. Oh no.
Yeah. Well, David, man, we certainly appreciate having you on, man.
Yeah, this was awesome.
This has been great.
Yeah. Lovely.
As Cal said, we definitely want to have you back, especially to hear about how you've been with your journey in 2025. Also, I mean, we need some experts to actually speak to some specific questions that we have as we sort of
go on our own journey.
Yeah.
Really.
So we would like to perhaps reach out to you for that as well. So we appreciate you again for coming on.
Can you quickly tell everybody where you can be found on X, on
Twitter,
Instagram, all the socials?
For
TikTok.
sure. On X or Twitter, I'm at D_Tao, and then on Instagram, I'm at David Thomas-Tao.
Nice.
And listen, guys, I really appreciate it. Y'all are the best. You bring such great positivity and energy to the community. And even before I met you all, you know what I mean? Like the regards were sky high. You're sky high.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate that.
And you all, you're kind of like, I remember in Boy Scouts they always used to tell us like, leave it better than we found it, right?
Yeah.
You all leave the community better than you found it, right?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Like
Wow.
whether
We
it's showing up
appreciate that.
to an event and just like adding everything you all do is additive, and so it's a real honor to be able to talk with you all, to learn from you all, and just to see the community work y'all are doing in the space by being good stewards of bourbon, of American whiskey, of whiskey in general. I really appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, man.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
That means a lot. That means a lot.
100%. Yeah, that does.
Like you said, or like I mentioned to you as well, just trying to add value out there and to a community that we appreciate and want to see grow, flourish, and people to continue to enjoy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And not feel like there's something holding them back from enjoying it.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, with that said, we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Yeah.
All right.
Peace,
All right,
peace,
Dave.
peace.
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 Much love to you guys.
Well, that concludes this episode of a Steady Pour podcast. Make sure you follow
it,
on
guys.
Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Yeah.
See you guys soon.